Hello, everyone, and welcome to training tape number 2 for basketball officials for the 2022-2023 season. My name is Cade. I'm the training coordinator for the Wisconsin River Officials Association and the Arrowhead Officials Association. And we've had, in my opinion, a great season thus far. Some things to work on, but we wouldn't be doing this if we didn't have things to work on. So that includes me, includes everyone, and hopefully this video helps you take a step in the right direction in doing so. I always like to show my face at the beginning of these, but just want to let you guys know I appreciate all the support that you guys give me for making these, and it's what keeps me going, so I appreciate that. Without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so as normal, we have our disclaimers. Remember that this training tape is not approved by the NFHS or the WIAA, and it does not count for any clinic or any level advancement for the WIAA or any state association. Keep in mind that I'm not a trained clinician. I have no affiliation with the WIAA. My affiliation is currently with the WROA and the AHOA, and that is it. This training will be for 3-person officiating crews, so varsity games. And remember that the training is for NFHS rules, mechanics, and primary coverage areas. You will see clips today from women's college games with women's college mechanics and floors, but everything here will apply to a high school game. And remember that no clip is ever meant to call out degrade one official, crew of officials, player, coach, or teams. These are purely just for learning experiences. And remember, you can always contact me with questions or clips at my email there below. Okay, so our first topic that we're going to have here is positioning and helping your partners, something that is very major when we talk about officiating and being able to get ourselves in the angles to see every play that we can. Remember when we're the trail, okay, we trail the play. We don't become, another C. We sit there, we box the players in as much as we can so that we can see everything. And when trail, it's often difficult to have your body in as good of a position as C, but try to make sure that your body's not one way or the other. The hips don't need to be parallel with the sideline, but they don't want to be parallel with the end line either. Try and sit yourself so that you can see as much as you can, box all those players in. And remember, on rebounding coverage, move to improve. I know that there can be philosophies with step down every time, but in my opinion, just move to improve when you need to. If you've got a great look as the trail already when a shot goes up, just stay put and officiate as you see. Remember, when you're the center, that's when we want to try and stay parallel with the sideline, because that can help us see as many players as possible, and we want to turn our body as much as we can. And remember, when we're the lead, we want to open ourselves up so that we see what we need to see. We want to be able to see our defenders, but we also want to see when drives are coming so that we don't want to get caught off guard. And that's basically not getting tunnel vision. And on drives, especially when coming from opposite, don't be afraid to close down so that you have a great look at some plays. Okay, so on this play, we're going to want to pay attention to the center official right here. And there's nothing that necessarily is done wrong, but there's things that we can do to improve here. So as we roll the clip, we're going to see that the pass is going to go here, and the center is going to turn their body and almost be parallel with the end line. Now, while in this current situation, there's no harm done, there's no fouls missed, the trail and the lead are in good position, we take ourselves out of being able to officiate the rebounding coverage as effectively when our hips are not parallel with the sideline here. So the best way to do this would be on our next clip that we're going to see here. And what I want you to do here is I want you to pay attention to this center official right here. And as we roll this clip, it's going to be the same type of play where we have a 3-point shot go up. But notice how he stays parallel with the sideline. He doesn't turn his body at all. And he's able to effectively see all the rebounding coverage that's going on there in the middle of the paint. And that allows us to have all 3 officials to have a great look at the play. So it's just something to take away from as to see if we can stay parallel with the sideline, we're going to be a lot better off to view and see these plays more effectively. Let's talk about some trail positioning. The trail in this play is going to be right here, and we see that a rotation is currently being initiated. So he is currently the center. He's going to become the new trail. And as this play develops, he now backs up, but his hips are still really parallel to the end line. If he opens his body up just a little bit more to the sideline and kind of boxes everything in, sort of at a 45-degree angle, seeing both ways, we can actually see that there's a foul that occurs here by the defense as you see that player go down where the three-point shot occurs. And with this, we are able to catch that play if we better position ourselves to see this play more effectively. Certainly, we could ask our partners to come in and help here, but if we're the trail and not get tunnel visioned here and not position ourselves so square one way or the other, we're able to see this play the whole way through and we're able to get this foul. Let's take a look at some good trail positioning. We'll pay attention to this official right here. And as this play kind of develops, we're going to see that there's going to be some screening action that goes on by him. And notice how he doesn't really angle himself towards the end line or the sideline. He really does a good job of just staying put, keeping the angle that he has, and he's able to effectively catch this illegal screen here because he doesn't get tunnel vision. He doesn't close down on the play too much. He sees the play the whole way through, and this is overall a really good job done by the trail official of good positioning, seeing the play the whole way through, and effectively officiating multiple players as this play progresses. Now we want to pay attention to the lead official here on the end line. And this is a really good job done by the lead here. The lead is going to step out. He's going to see the drive come all the way through, and he's also going to stay with his defender. Remember, he's currently officiating the secondary defenders that are going to come in here. And because he widens himself so well, and he turns his hips to be able to see everything, he's able to effectively get this foul. If he closes down too much, or if he gets too tunnel visioned and angled towards one player, he might see this play by surprise and not be able to catch it. Again, this is a really well done job by the lead. Now in this case, we'll want to pay attention to this lead right here. And remember that a lot of these plays happen in transition, so that's why positioning is so important, so that we can get everything the best that we can. In this play, we're going to see that the lead is a little bit more focused on the secondary defenders and doesn't widen himself up as much to be able to see that drive coming down. Because of this, he kind of gets caught by surprise. And I'm not saying whether this is a block or if it's a charge. That's a debate for another topic. But what we really want to focus on is just being able to see this the whole way through so that we can effectively make an accurate call here. On a side note, remember that our rule change last year for player and team control fouls is a hand behind the head. This is an example by the lead of an improper mechanic for a player control foul. Now, something that comes with positioning is that we also don't always get the best look at plays. And an example that we also need to keep in mind being in good position is being able to help out our partners. So we're going to take just two plays here of a good example and a bad example of when to reach in to help your partners out. Take this play for example. There are a couple things that we can learn here. First off, when we know that immediate backcourt pressure is coming, the new trail can stay put on the end line here and can get a good look at this play happening. With that though, he still is able to see most of the contact that is occurring. And we see that the center comes in and calls a foul on the player who comes in and just appears to either slap the ball or slap a hand. But regardless, this is a play where the trail should be able to effectively officiate this play, and the center does not need to come in here and get this foul. Now, again, whether you agree it's a foul or not, that's up to you. And I'm not saying it is or isn't, but two things. If the new trail just stays put a little bit longer, they can see this completely the whole way through. But with this also as the center, not only do we want to kind of avoid reaching in and grabbing these fouls that may or may not be fouls, but also realize that we also have competitive matchups that we need to officiate. There could be any one of these players in white or red that attempt to make a play, and we need to keep our eyes on those players to make sure that there's nothing that happens there. Now to take a look at a little bit better of an example of when to reach out of your primary, we're going to see a drive just come from the top of the key right about here, and we're going to keep in mind the trail and lead positioning as we watch through this play. So we see that this drive comes through. The trail, in my opinion, has a really, really good look at this play in terms of how he's positioned, but he isn't exactly always able to see a push-off or a hand or anything like that, like we see in this play, because it's just the way that his positioning is. He's in the position to see everything that he best possibly can, but doesn't always do that. The lead here just sees a player stumbling backwards. They don't exactly see the forearm come out, so this isn't really the best opportunity for the lead to catch this either. However, the center here, because they are in home base, they are parallel with the sideline, they can see everything that's going on, they are able to catch this play. And while people may argue if it's a crew saver or not or anything like that, I think this is a very acceptable example of the center coming out of his primary to officiate and get this play right if the trail doesn't have a look. Yes, there are still competitive matchups that are in his primary, but because he does a good job of staying at home base and staying as the center here, he's able to effectively get this play right. And I think that's what's really important here. Okay, our second topic that we're going to look at here is loose ball officiating. And this is one that I'm specifically referring to players on the ground. We want to remember when a player is on the ground and takes another player out of the play, that is considered a foul. And the thing that you can refer back to here really is legal guarding position. You cannot have legal guarding position on the ground because you don't have 2 feet on the floor. So when we have players on the ground scrumming for loose balls, we can't tuck our whistles away in our pockets or go with the held ball every time. We need to make sure that we get fouls for players on the ground. And we're going to look at some great examples and some bad examples of this certain topic occurring. So we have a lot going on in this play. Let's pay special attention to this player right here that's going to get the rebound and go up for a putback. We're specifically looking at this player and how she maintains any legal guarding position. We see as she goes up, and then she goes to the ground, and subsequent from that, the player in white goes to the floor, and we see that a foul has been called. This is an example of a good foul call on the player in blue, and the reason for that is because as she goes up, she is able to somewhat land effectively. You could argue that this is a foul by the white player, but we also have to consider if the blue player had the opportunity to come down, or if she kind of just went up and she faded away. Again, I'm not saying it is or isn't a foul on the white player, but I'm looking at this action when she goes to the ground. When she goes to the ground, yes, her leg kicks up and everything, but you are immediately protected in getting a foul here because she is on the ground and she takes a player out of the game. And so I think this is an excellent job by the lead and the trail official. It's okay to come in and get this. And getting a foul for a player on the ground here, this is very good loose ball officiating by this crew. Now in this play, we're going to have a similar type of action where we have a shot go up, we have players go to the ground, and we have a no call. Now as we pay attention to red 22, and I'll stop the video here and I'll just circle him out, he's down here. So if we rewind the video, we can see where he's at. He's right in here in this scrum here. And as we let the video play through, we're going to see that he goes to the ground and then takes the player in white down to the ground with him because he's on the ground, his legs get caught up. This, in my mind, is a foul on the player in red because they were down on the ground first. And yes, it's a hustle play. It's kids trying to make plays, but we cannot allow that to deter us from the fact that they still took another player out of the play when they went to the ground. So I believe that this is a foul on red. I think that the lead would be great to call a foul here and get this play right. But it's just one of those where we see a player go to the ground and they take another one with them, so we have to get the first foul there to avoid any more. This next play, we're going to take a look at this player right here. And as this play plays on, you're going to notice that we're going to have a block charge situation, and he's going to take another player out with him, and then we're going to have another player go down, and we finally get a foul call. The first instance of the contact where he goes down and takes white 13 with him would be considered a foul on him because he took the player out of the play while he was on the ground. Something that's a side note with this, we can talk about a flop, so calling a block or a technical. That's a topic for another video. but we can certainly consider that when officially ruling this play. But even though we do get a foul call here eventually on the second player that gets taken out, which is still technically correct, we want to get that first one when he goes to the ground and takes white 13 down with him. So again, this is another example of when players are on the floor, we need to get foul calls here so that this doesn't keep happening. On this last play that we're going to look at, we'll pay attention to white number 5 here. And this is a play where we can argue incidental contact. And the reason for that is because she's really predominantly going for the ball, but she still takes the black player down with her. Because she's diving for the ball and she is on the ground, this could be considered a foul on white number 5 for a block, because while she is going for the ball, she's trying to make a loose ball hustle play, she still takes the black player out of the play. So this could be a great example of where we could get a foul on white number 5 for this occurring. Again, it's a tough play, it's a hustle play, but whenever one player takes another player out of a potential to make a play, we need to get a foul call. Our last topic that we're going to talk about is a little bit unique and something that you probably don't see every game, and that's face-guarded players. I wanted to bring this to light because as we see more and more great players emerge out of the state of Wisconsin, we still continue to see players face guard, and we need to officiate them effectively in making sure that they have freedom of movement, but also that they do not commit any fouls for pushing off or anything like that. So I have a couple plays to look at here where this is talked about, or where this can be seen specifically, and some plays that we can learn from. Some other things just to note with face guard players is that, remember, if you see 4 hands, it's kind of like pass interference in football, then you're going to be okay. There's going to be no issues. If you see any grabbing or anything like that, and that restricts the offensive player from being able to make a play, remember that's a foul on the defense. If we see the offensive player push off or try and hold and, the pull and shoot plays that we see in football, so to speak, where they grab and they turn them, that can be considered an offensive foul. And remember, if they do get the ball, they're often going to get heavy pressure, which are going to be some examples that we're going to see here in regards to face guard players. So on this play in particular, our face guard player matchup is just down there where I have drew the arrow. And we're going to let this kind of play through, and you're just going to know some things. He's getting face guarded. He does a good job of legally getting off, but then he's met with heavy pressure. And right when he gets the ball, you can probably argue for a foul because he's met with heavy pressure. He pushes him off of his path. That could be considered a foul by the defense. And then in addition to that, when the offensive player starts to dribble, he appears to kind of not necessarily impede his movement, but stay with him, and that could be considered legal. And then we talk about a push-off by the offensive player. So there's a lot of contact that goes on there with these face-guarded players if we let it play out too much. But if we get that initial foul contact by white, then we're able to resolve this. We don't even have this type of play occurring. On this play, the face-guarded matchup is going to be right here to the left of your screen. And as we let this play out, again, the face guarding defender does a good job of allowing her freedom to get the ball. She continues to guard her, and in my mind does an excellent job of maintaining legal guarding position with this. Yes, there's heavy pressure, and you see the offensive players kind of like, well, I can't do anything. But when they're met with heavy pressure, we can't always say that she's going to get fouled. There can still be legal heavy pressure as long as it's all legal guarding position and incidental contact, which in my mind is what we have here. So I think this is a good example of letting this play out and not giving the benefit of the doubt to a face guarded player in this instance. On this play, the face guarded player is going to be the inbounder, which is what you may see a lot. And with this, I think that especially the trail here does a nice job of just seeing this the whole way through, because what you're often going to see are these plays right here where they get the ball in and then they try to hand it right back off to them. And on this, the player who is attempting to face guard the offensive player does restrict her freedom of movement. She does push her off her path. And I think this is a good get by the trail official of getting a foul here to, make sure that the illegal contact no longer occurs. So again, I think this is a good example of off the inbounds play where we see this the whole way through, and we are able to effectively officiate this play the correct way. Okay, that's it. I want to thank everyone again for their continued support. Remember that test part 2 is due December 31st. I believe the WIAA playoff availability has closed, but update it if you need to. And happy holidays to you, whether you celebrate Christmas or a different religion and holiday in that manner. And have a happy new year. And we'll see you in January of 2023 for training tape number 3.